You ever feel like you're shouting into a void? You're doing everything right. You're working hard, you're being a good person, you're praying until your knees ache, and yet, nothing. No yes, no no, just silence. I'm Joseph. I'm 41. And for the longest time, I thought silence was the same thing as absence. I thought if God wasn't moving the mountain, it meant he wasn't there. We live in a world that's all about the hustle, right? We're told that if we want something, we go get it. And we carry that into our faith. We treat God like a vending machine. Put in a prayer, get out a result. But what do you do when the machine is jammed? What do you do when you're providing for a family, the bills are piling up, and the one breakthrough you need is the one thing that won't budge? I want to tell you about the year I almost lost my faith because a door wouldn't open. And I want to tell you why, looking back, that closed door was the greatest act of love I've ever experienced. My life was measured in deliveries and deadlines. I ran a small logistics business, just me, an old L300 van I named Old Reliable, and enough grit to keep my wife, Elena, and our 2 kids fed. I'm a simple man. I don't need a mansion. I just wanted to be the man my family could rely on. Every morning at 4 a.m., before the Manila heat really starts to bite, I'd sit with my coffee and pray. Same prayer every day. Lord, just one big contract. One steady corporate account so I can stop chasing these small gigs. Give me the breakthrough so I can give them a better life. Everything was normal. The kids went to school, Elena managed the house, and I drove until my back went numb. But under that normal was a growing desperation. The van was breaking down more often, the prices of everything were going up. I felt like I was running on a treadmill that was slowly speeding up while I was getting tired. I kept waiting for that sign, that moment where everything clicks. I was faithful. I served in our local church. I helped my neighbors. I was doing my part. So why was God being so quiet? The silence started to feel heavy. There was this one contract I was chasing, a massive delivery deal for a new shopping mall chain. If I got it, we were set. No more worrying about the rent. I fasted, I prayed. I even bought a secondhand truck on credit, certain that this was the one. I was so sure God was going to say yes. It felt right. It felt like the perfect timing. But the deadline for the bidding came and went. Nothing. I checked my email every 5 minutes. Nothing. I visited their office. In process, they said. Days turned into weeks, then a month. My debt for the new truck started eating us alive. Elena was worried, though she tried to hide it. I started feeling resentful. I'd see other guys who didn't even pray, guys who cheated on their taxes, getting the big breaks. Lord, are you even listening? I whispered one night, sitting in the dark of the van. I'm trying to be a good steward. I'm trying to provide. Why are you making it so hard? It's a dangerous place to be, isn't it? When you start comparing your silence to someone else's shout. I felt like I was being ignored. I felt invisible. The no finally came. Not in an email, but in a news report. Another company got the contract. A bigger, faster fleet. I was devastated. I felt like a failure. I remember sitting at the kitchen table telling Elena we had to sell the new truck at a loss. I felt like God had let me down. Then 2 weeks later, the news broke. That big company that won the contract, they had been part of a massive, coordinated logistics operation that ended in a horrific accident on the new North Express Highway, a multi-truck pileup caused by a faulty bridge section that hadn't been inspected. But it wasn't just an accident. It turned out the mall chain was a front for a massive money laundering scheme. The government froze all assets. Every driver, every subcontractor, every person associated with that contract was taken in for questioning. Their bank accounts were frozen. Many were facing jail time just for being part of the paper trail. If I had won that contract, I would have been on that bridge that morning. My old reliable van wouldn't have stood a chance. Or worse, I'd be sitting in a cell right now, my name ruined, my family's future gone. I stared at the TV, the remote trembling in my hand. The nothing I had been complaining about for months was actually a shield. I walked out to my porch. The Philippine sun was as bright as ever, but for the first time in a year, I didn't feel the need to squint. I realized that God wasn't ignoring my prayers. He was answering the prayers I didn't know how to pray. I was asking for a contract. He was giving me safety. I was asking for a breakthrough. He was giving me a boundary. We think stewardship is about managing the yes, but real stewardship is about trusting the wait. It's easy to have faith when the money is flowing and the doors are swinging open, but the kind of faith that actually changes your soul, that's the faith that stays steady when the room is quiet. I looked at my old van. It was still old. We were still struggling a bit, but we were together. We were safe. And I realized that the nothing that was happening was actually God standing in the doorway saying, "Not this one, Joseph. Trust me. I see the road ahead, and you don't." So if you're in that waiting room right now, if you feel like God has forgotten your address, I want you to breathe. Silence isn't a sign of rejection. It's often a sign of preparation. Maybe He's preparing the path for you, or maybe He's preparing you for the path. Don't mistake a closed door for a finished story. God is a much better author than we are. He knows when to end a chapter, and He knows when to keep the plot from going off a cliff. Trust the silence. Steward the wait. Because sometimes the greatest miracle is the one that didn't happen. Keep going. He's listening. He's just busy being your shield.